Hi everyone, I'm April, and you're watching The Tangled Cat Speaks, and this is a book edition. And it just so happens to be that set of books right there that I read in March. So I am here in Albuquerque, and it is April 7th, and so I'm going to talk about what I read in March. March happens to be, I have sometimes my own little themes for each month, and March for me was Manga March. So this here is heavy, hold on, is a box set of 27 volumes, and it's called Claymore by Norihiro Yagi. And I'm gonna open this. I don't know why, but I'm gonna do it. There they are. All of them in here. 27, and there's a little special edition here that has other illustrations that were sort of like works in progress before they settled on the final designs. Very, very cool. Now this series, let me say, is 27 volumes. Oh my gosh, oh, so heavy. 27 volumes, and I got it a while back because it's a complete story. It's done. I don't have to worry about when the next volume is going to come out. And since it was Manga March for me, I decided to try to read one volume a day, and that would get me through the whole month. And I ended up like pretty much sticking to that. So I got it done within a pretty good amount of time. Now the story is based on, again, demons. This girl, her name is Claire. She is what people call a claymore. There's several of these female warriors. They're called claymores more as a nickname because this giant sword that they carry, that's actually the claymore, but people just call them claymores. Now there's these demon type creatures, maybe not demons, kind of like a mix between a demon and a zombie and a weird monster kind of thing. They're called Yoma, and they eat human flesh. And there's this organization that decided that they were going to get Yoma blood and put it into a human to create sort of a half-breed, hybrid type of situation, and train them to defeat these Yoma and protect the humans. So they're sort of caught in the middle. They gotta kill these Yoma. The humans, even though they're their protectors, the humans are afraid of them because they have the Yoma blood. And they have every right to be afraid, because if you overexert your Yoma energy, you can kill your own human part of yourself and fully become a Yoma yourself. Now they have there's several girls that are like this, and they get them from a very young age. This organization gets these girls from a very young age and does this experimentation type thing on them. There used to be male claymores, but they would turn almost immediately. They didn't handle the Yoma energy as long as the females did. So they kind of scrapped the idea of using men and would only focus on female. And so it turns out that there's this conspiracy theory that some of the claymores are thinking, okay, maybe we're not actually fighting for the good people. Like there's something going on within the organization that doesn't feel right. So that's kind of the whole premise of the story. They're fighting these Yomas, but at the same time they're trying to figure out what's going on with their organization. It's very, very interesting. There's a whole lot of friendship and loyalty and just all of these themes of finding yourself and trusting who you are, and strength isn't all about what's on the outside or what you can do. There's strength in your heart and in your personality and your soul, that kind of thing. It's a very, very interesting story, and I loved it. It was just a very, very good story. Like I just had a really, really good time with it. I do think I want to keep them, but one of my sons mentioned that he might want to read those, so I'm gonna offer those up to him and see if he wants to read them, and then when he's done, then I'll get them back. But I think I'm gonna keep those. Now, the other thing that I have been doing once a month has been reading a series of books by J. Sterling. She did 12 books, and each based on that month's sort of theme. And March had St. Patrick's Day, so the next little romance, very short romance, was called My Week with the Prince. And you can see that it's not necessarily St. Patrick's Day, but it's set in Ireland. So there are these two sisters, and they're kind of young women. Their mother passes away, and they're just very, very sad. They don't know what to do, and they end up finding out during the during the reading of the mother's will that she has purchased a trip to Ireland for both the sisters. And she says, you guys have been taking care of me while I've been sick, and I want you to live. I want you to be happy. And this is my last gift to you, blah, blah, blah. And so they end up deciding, they're going to go ahead and go on this trip to Ireland. And one sister is, I'm going to party. I'm going to just have a blast and whatever. If I find a dude, I find a dude, and I don't care. I'm just in it for the fun. The other sister is just kind of, well, if that kind of happens, if I meet a guy, great, whatever, but I'm not looking for that. I'm just here to let go of the mourning for my mother and that kind of thing. But she does end up meeting someone, and it turns out that he is living sort of incognito. He doesn't tell anyone, but he is actually from a nobility type of family. He's and his best friend calls him a prince. I don't think he's actually a prince, but he is from a line of a noble, royal type of family. I don't remember if he's actually a prince, but he keeps that very secret. He works as a bartender, and I think he runs an inn, and it just so happens to be the inn that these two girls are staying at. Again, these are very short, very, very easy to read, and there's just a little bit of spiciness in there, a little bit of sexy time, but not crazy. A very fun, very light, quick read in between all of the demon slaying that I was reading in that one. And then on my Kindle, I have been slowly, very, very, very painfully slowly reading The Case Files of Aldous Vescard, which is like clockwork, steampunk kind of setting, and he's a detective who is trying to figure out all of these random episodes that are going on, and it turns out there's a rebellion going on, and he has a beast within him, and he has to wear these special bracelets that keeps it in. And if he takes those off, he can literally turn into a giant ball of flame and hurt people. There's vampires in here. There's all different kinds of creatures, and animatronic robots, and just all different kinds of stuff. And it has a whole lot of technical, what is the word that I'm looking for? Alchemical. There's like alchemy and all different kinds of stuff like that going on. So there's all of these like pseudo-sciencey kind of terms. I just find it very fascinating, even though most of the time I just kind of skim over the big words because I don't really know what they mean, if they actually mean anything, or if they were just made up for the story. But the detective stories, each chapter is a different situation, but it's all one overarching mystery, and it's very, very fun. And I am now at the 82% point according to my Kindle. It says I've got about 3 hours of reading left, so this is going to be done for sure by the end of the month. I'm hoping way before the end of the month, because I've got plans to read something on there for now in April. I did listen to a couple of audiobooks. The first one is a nonfiction by Naomi Watts. And I only knew her as an actress, but this is a nonfiction called Dare I Say It? And she talks a lot about her experience in going through perimenopause, and the things that she wished someone had explained to her, and the things that she hopes that other women can get knowledge to, as far as hormone replacement therapy and other remedies for all of the different symptoms and maladies that are weirdly connected to going through menopause. And I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it. I thought it was gonna be very dry, but no, it's actually very, very well written, and listening to it was very easy. And I actually recommend that. I don't have any particular stance on hormone replacement therapy, but a lot of the experiences that she went through are things that I am experiencing, and I just think it's, at least for me, this book is more of a, oh, I'm not going crazy. That is happening. That is a thing. So yeah, let's get into April. Now, April, I have decided, is going to be romantic April, which works out well because, like I say, I've been reading these J. Sterling short romances, and this one is called Fools in Love. And now, like I said, this is April 7th. I read this already. Went through it super quick. And now this one follows a woman whose name is April, and she's in Manhattan. She's a matchmaker, and she finds herself sort of bamboozled into going to an auction where they're auctioning off these good-looking men for a date, and all of this money is for charity. She doesn't want to go. It's not her thing. She doesn't want to be there, but she's doing it for a very good friend. Her very good friend is the one who's running this whole auction thing. So she kind of feels obligated. And so she goes, but she goes begrudgingly. At the same time, one of the dudes that's being auctioned off is a firefighter, and he had previously been on the cover of a fireman's calendar and kind of turned sour against dating, because anybody who wanted to spend time with them really just wanted to be able to say that they had sex with the guy that was on the calendar, and there was never any real relationship prospects coming out of that. So he was just kind of bitter, but he got bamboozled into going into being one of the guys being auctioned off. And very fun, very cute, again, light on the spicy, but spicy enough. And I've already finished it. So these two are going to go to the little free library. And then I read this one. This is Josie, the Tiger and the Fish. And this is a manga that is an adaptation of, I think it's a novel, which I didn't know that before I bought this. But it turns out this novel was originally written by Seiko Tanabe, and the illustrations in here is done by Now Imoto. I'm sure I'm messing up these names. I am sorry. This surprised me. I didn't know that this was a romance, actually. I was actually just reading it because it looked cool. It follows this young woman who is wheelchair bound. She lives with her grandmother. Her parents are dead, and she needs a caretaker. The other main character is a guy who is working these different odd jobs. He works in a dive shop, but he also does other like random jobs here and there to save money so that he could go to Mexico to study and to go dive down there. This has been his lifelong dream to do this. So he's just trying to save as much money as he can, and he ends up being this girl's temporary caregiver. And the only thing that the grandmother says is she cannot leave the house, and you have to do everything that she says, which is kind of, that's going to clash. Those two rules are going to clash, because this girl is a handful. She's bossy, she's mean, she's rude, and she just has him do the most random things, and then before you know it, she gets him to take her out of the house. And so he kind of indulges her in that. He does take her out and do different things. He takes her to the library, he takes her to the aquarium, he takes her to the beach, all these different places that she's never really had a chance to experience because her grandma keeps her so sheltered. And it's just the sweetest little romance between these two young adults. There is there's a lot of sad parts in it, and there's a lot of there's kind of a little bit of drama because there's another girl that likes him. She's been his friend for a while, and she tries to create drama because she wants to be the one that he likes. But he's falling for this girl in the wheelchair, and it was so good. I thought I was going to take a lot longer to read this, but I read this in a couple of days because it was just so good, and it really, really surprised me. I was not expecting it. I don't know what I thought this was going to be about, but I wasn't expecting a sweet little romance. But it worked out because April romance, or romantic April, or whatever I called this month. So that leaves me with the only other book that I planned to read for April. So now that we are April 7th, I have started the first chapter of this book called The Wedding Ranch by Nancy Nagel. This one I got in a little free library. It's actually an advanced reader copy, so I don't know what the official version is like and what kind of differences there are, but I'm going to go ahead and read this one because this is what I have. And this is following a woman who finds out that her husband has been cheating on her, or she suspects that he's been cheating on her, and she decides to just hold off. She's kind of in the back of her mind thinking, well, I don't know if I want a divorce. I'm going to talk to a divorce lawyer and see what that process is all about. But she goes for an entire year, not really following up, and she's just hoping that she's wrong. And he insists that she's wrong. And then come to find out that he was lying and she was right all the time. And that's literally the prologue. the prologue in the first chapter. And that's as far as I got. So now, in that whole year that she was trying to convince herself that he wasn't actually cheating on her, he had bought her a Mastiff puppy. And so now she's trying to, where I'm at in the story, she's trying to, they're officially separated, they're going to get a divorce, and now she's looking for a house for herself and her big giant puppy. So I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know what the wedding ranch is. Is that a place? I don't know. In my mind, I have this idea that it's going to be like a love retreat kind of thing, but I don't know. I have no idea. I really didn't look too much into what this is. I just thought it sounded interesting. And that's where I'm at so far. And so far I'm pretty interested. But I think I'm going to get this done well before the end of April. So if I do have time, I want to get to this book, which is a sequel to a book that I read for Fantasy February. And I ran out of time in February. So I never got to this sequel. So if I have enough time, and I'm pretty sure that I will, I'm gonna do this one. Dilvish the Damned by Roger Zelazny. So that is what I've got planned as far as physical books. Let's see. My next Kindle book that I want to read is Project Hail Mary. Now I know that movie just came out and I hear that it's really, really good, but I refuse to watch it until I've read this book. And who knows how long it's going to take me to finish this, because it's taken me months and months and months and months and months to even get to the 80% mark of the other book that I've been reading on there. But that is what I want to read next, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And then right now I am about 75% done with a book that I started at the beginning of April called The Raven Scholar. Now, this is not a romance. This is a fantasy mystery type of thing. So I've got it on Audible, and The Raven Scholar is about this kingdom, and there's these different houses, and they're all different. They're symbolized by different animals. There's the bears and the ox and the ravens, tigers, fox. These are all different houses, and they're doing there's like a tournament kind of thing going on to see who the next ruler is going to be. Now, one of the laws or whatever is that the current, is he a king or an emperor? The current ruler cannot choose his own successor. There has to be this kind of tournament kind of thing. And there is one particular girl, she is a raven, but she doesn't want to be involved in this tournament. She just wants to stick to her books and her studies and stuff like that. But she's very close to, is he a king? I can't remember if he's a king or an emperor. But anyway, she's become like a pretty good advisor for him. Like, she works closely with him. And then in the meantime, she was involved in, a lot of people kind of shun her because years before, like 8 years before, there was one young woman who was supposed to participate in this tournament and ended up getting killed because she got killed for treason, basically, because her father used to be the ruler. And after he died, she continued carrying his colors. And that was considered treason because he's not the ruler anymore. And they called it exiled, but basically one of the Raven scholars had to write her exile declaration or whatever, and then this declaration gets pinned to her chest, and then she's basically killed. And this girl that's close to the ruler, she happened to be the one who had to write that declaration. And now, as she's becoming involved with this tournament, she's sort of like forced to become a contender in this tournament, even though that's not what she doesn't want to be a ruler. She doesn't want to do anything, but she's sort of voluntold that she needs to. And as she's going through all of this, she's also trying to figure out why one of the other contenders in this same tournament was murdered. And it's all tying back to the girl that was exiled 8 years before. So she's investigating and at the same time trying to survive this tournament because she's not a fighter. She doesn't have any weapons training, any hand-to-hand combat kind of training. She is a book scholar, but she's stuck in all of this. And it took me a little bit to get into this story when I first started listening to it, but I would say about maybe by the time I got to chapter 4 or 5, I was like, okay, all right. I think I like this. I'm going to keep going. So I am enjoying The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. And that is all my plans right now for April. I think if I do have time, there are a couple of other audiobooks that I might want to listen to. One would be The Strength of the Few by James Islington. I listened to the first book, the Will of the Many. So now this is the sequel called The Strength of the Few, which is also got its own kind of mystery going on, and it does involve an academy type of situation where the students are involved in a tournament kind of thing, and they're trying to figure out this mystery that involves the main character's family. So I'm excited to get into the second book of that series. And then if I have time still after that, I want to listen to The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. It's one that I've wanted to read for a very long time. I've got that in physical. I've got it in paperback. But I also have it on audio because I think at one point I forgot that I had the physical copy. But it's a big fat book, so there's no way that I'm going to be able to read that this month, like eyeball read it. So if I have time, I want to listen to it. If I don't have time, then I might eyeball read it another time. I don't know. But those are my tentative plans as far as audiobooks. And that is really all I have to say right now as far as books. And I do appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. I'm very, very rambly. And that's just how I am. I don't plan my episodes, and I take minimal notes just to kind of let me know what I want to talk about, but actually I don't have a script, I don't have a direct plan, and oftentimes my thoughts are just kind of coming out in whatever way, shape, or form that they want to, and I'm sorry for that, but that's how I am, and I don't edit a whole lot. It's a very simple channel. And I appreciate you spending some time with me while I ramble on. And I will see you hopefully again next time. Bye.